Hello everyone, welcome back. So another weekend in the books. That little snippet we put up last night got a few guys talking. As you can see, progress was made and we got a few things powered up, which is really exciting. Now, had a lot of messages in the last 24 hours wanting us to just kick the car in the guts basically and have a listen to it. We're not quite at that stage yet. We've had a few little niggling issues. I guess we've been open and honest with the whole restoration and shown you every step of the way so far. There's no point in changing that now. A couple of little issues have popped up, which we're working through. Things that we hadn't anticipated, and it purely stems from the fact that the car's been sitting for so long, and obviously it is 20 plus years old, so there are going to be a few little issues. But engine's in, progress has been made. Let's have a bit of a look at it now. All right, so as you can see, the engine's pretty well installed and connected up. Still got to run the throttle cable and a few little jobs, but all the plumbing's on, the fittings are tight, headers are on. Little 1%ers we've still got to do yet, just reposition a few of these plug leads and just little things like that, but certainly good enough to fire the car up and make sure it all runs okay. Fuel system's all reconnected, wiring's in, the oil pressure sender line is all connected down into the block. So we're all good to go from that standpoint. Power steering fluid is full. It's all connected back up to the pump. Radiator's full of water and coolant. And the engine is also full of oil, or the bell housing. Now you may recall in the earlier video, the bell housing is the oil tank for the engine. This here is the filler point. Because you can't get under the car to fill it easily, that runs down on top of the bell housing, and that is your filler point, and the little bleed nipple next to it is the slave cylinder for the clutch. So we'll pop the car up in the air and have a bit of a look what else has been going on under there. All right, so we've got the car up in the air now, so I'll have a bit of a look underneath. So as you can see, the engine oil pump, all the lines have gone on, all the fittings have been tightened up. Everything, again, we've had to get the angles exactly right where they all need to sit, so there's no clearance issues. Power steering rack and everything's all back in the car. That was a bit of a mission. As you can see there's zero clearance to get anything else in there. So even the power steering lines, to get them on, you've got to connect them before the rack goes in and then wiggle them around, try and get them sitting in the right spot. You can see even the oil lines that come out of the pump for the engine wraps around the rack. So there's literally no room to move. So that was fun. Gearbox, bell housing, everything's all on. You'll would have seen just a few seconds ago the filler point for the bell housing, or the oil tank for the engine. How that's leveled, because there's no dipstick. You've got your drain valve, or your sump plug there, I should say. This here is a little leveling plug. So you take that cap off there, you pump oil into the bell housing, and that's got a tube that runs up into the housing. So as the level comes up, that tube finishes, say, roughly there. And then as the oil level rises, oil starts running out that tube, and there you know you've got it at the right level. So really cool way of doing it, nice and simple, and you know, you can get the oil level accurately set. As I said, gearbox is all in. These are your cooler lines. So if we follow where they go, you've got your cooler here, got the little electronic motor to turn the gearbox cooler on and off, and it's all in. Again, a lot of little tidy up jobs to go, tidying up wiring on, you know, starter motor and just little bits and pieces, but for now, to see if it'll run, it's certainly good enough. A few little mounts we've got to make up for the exhaust. We'll tidy all these up on the mufflers, but yeah, certainly good enough to see if it's going to make some noise. If it all does work properly, the tail shaft will then go back in, tail shaft hoop, and we'll start working backwards. Okay, so this is where the fun begins, problems. This is where we got ourselves into a bit of trouble yesterday. The fuel system on the car, we've bench tested everything and everything works, but as soon as it's gone back in the car, it doesn't want to play the game. So when you start these engines, when you hit the starter button, it should activate straight away. Now, what we did do is disconnect the high pressure pumps. And the reason we did that is the engine's completely dry. The fuel system's completely dry, I should say. So unlike your road car where it pumps straight out of the tank to your pumps, this here, you've got two facet pumps which pump out of the tank across there into the swell pot. Then from there, when that's full, that then goes into the high pressure pumps and back to the engine. So we didn't want to have those pumps singing away bone dry while the facet pumps did their job filling that up. So we disconnected them, hit the starter button, and nothing happened. Engine turned over, but there's no message getting to the pumps to turn on. Now, as I said, we've bench tested everything and everything works. So it's a message issue, not so much the pump themselves. So we've taken the relays out of here at the moment to get some new ones, but we switched the relays around, and I did have one kicking around, and it did get one facet pump and one high pressure pump working. So we're pretty confident, or we're hoping, that the issue is just in the relays. They've been sitting around and they failed internally. I guess it could be a bit of a long shot, but certainly by switching them around, it has made a difference. So we're about a day off getting a set of relays. We'll pop them in, and then hopefully that'll enable us to, I guess, connect everything back up and get some high pressure fuel delivered to the engine safely. So with that in mind, we did everything else we could. So we filled up all the fluids on the engine. We've got some oil pressure happening. How we do that is we've got a secondary belt, which I'll sneak over here and grab. So we just had a brand new belt, and you take the belt off the oil pump, you put the secondary belt on with another pulley, and basically, really high tech, you just spin it with a drill, and you'll see on the dashboard here, it just turns over, and then all of a sudden we had oil pressure. So we can get everything pressured up before we even think about hitting the starter button. And you would have seen in that snippet yesterday, we were turning the engine over just to make sure that everything, when connected, still generated oil pressure, which it does. So basically, I'm like a kid at Christmas. I really want to hear this thing run and make sure it runs, but until we get some fuel pressure relays, there's not a lot more we can do. So they're on the way. Hopefully I'll get them tomorrow. If not, we'll be slightly later in the week. And then it's just a matter of juggling work around everything and seeing if we can get this thing to make some noise. So stay tuned. That's why we haven't put up a video of it running just yet, but we're really hopeful that it's not too far away, and we really appreciate your support, and hopefully we can all share in the joy of hearing this thing run, and it's really not too far away. So thanks for your support. Hopefully next time you hear from me, we'll have some good news.